Jaden Carter stood alone in the big hallway of Silvergate Preparatory School. His shoes squeaked on the shiny floor and everyone else walked in groups, laughing and whispering. They looked polished, with perfect uniforms and smooth hair. Jaden's shirt was clean but faded and his shoes were a little too big, hand-me-downs from a cousin. He clutched his books close and walked into English class. It smelled like markers and perfume. Miss Pamela Griggs was writing something on the board with a thick red pen. She had tight blonde curls and wore sharp glasses that made her eyes look even colder. Jaden sat near the back, hoping to disappear. But he never could. Not here. Miss Griggs turned around slowly. "Mr. Carter," she said, pinching her nose. "Do you not know what soap is?" The class giggled. Jaden froze. "I'm sorry, ma'am," he said softly. She walked toward him, fanning her face. "You smell like fish." "Again. Is that your family's business?" More laughter. Louder this time. Jaden's ears burned. "My dad's a fisherman," he said. She waved her hand like she was shooing a fly. "Out. I won't have that smell in my class. You're a distraction." Jaden stood slowly, chest heavy. He didn't cry. He wouldn't give them that. He walked out and closed the door behind him, pressing his back against the cold wall in the hallway. He had smelled like salt and fish before, especially when he helped his dad on the boat. But he had taken 2 showers the night before and again that morning. He wore clean clothes, sprayed cologne, even chewed mint gum. It hadn't mattered. That night, Jaden sat at the dinner table, pushing food around his plate. His dad, Elijah Carter, was slicing salmon fillets in the kitchen. Elijah was tall, broad, and his hands were tough from years on the sea. He looked over at Jaden. "Did something happen?" he asked. Jaden shook his head. "Just tired." Elijah nodded slowly. "You know, when I was your age, they said worse. Said I'd never be more than a poor sea rat. But I didn't stop. I just kept working. Let them laugh." Jaden swallowed. "They said I smell like fish." Elijah paused, his knife still on the board. "That's not an insult where we come from. That's the smell of hard work. The sea feeds hundreds because of what we do. Remember that." Jaden nodded, but the shame still sat on his chest like a rock. The next morning, he walked into school quietly, keeping his head down. He didn't want to be noticed. But someone noticed anyway. Lila Bennett, the girl with a notebook always under her arm, caught up to him near the lockers. "I saw what happened yesterday," she said. "Ms. Griggs was wrong." Jaden glanced at her. "Doesn't matter. No one cares." "I care," Lila said. "And I think others would too, if they heard what she said." Jaden stopped walking. "What do you mean?" Lila lowered her voice. "I'm on the school newspaper. I know how to write a story. But I need proof." "Do you think she'd say something like that again?" Jaden didn't answer right away. His fingers gripped his backpack. He knew she would. Ms. Griggs didn't hide her feelings. Not about him. "She says stuff like that all the time," he whispered. "Calls me fish boy when no one hears." Lila nodded. "Then we record it." Jaden stared at her. "I have a voice recorder," she said. "Tiny. You wear it. When she says something, we'll have it." Jaden hesitated. His stomach flipped. "Won't I get in trouble?" "Not if you don't do anything wrong," Lila said. "She already is doing something wrong." Jaden agreed, finally. He didn't sleep much that night. He kept replaying the scene in his mind, the sound of the laughter, the way Ms. Griggs had turned up her nose like he was something stuck to her shoe. The next day, Lila met him before class. She handed him a small black device, the size of a thumb. "Just clip it under your collar," she said. "Press this button to start." Jaden did as she said. He walked into English class. Ms. Griggs was already at her desk, sipping coffee. "You're back, Mr. Carter," she said with a sigh. "Did your father finally teach you how to bathe?" Jaden said nothing. He took his seat. Ms. Griggs wasn't finished. "You people always have a certain smell," she said, tapping her pen. "It's cultural, I suppose." A few students laughed again, but others shifted uncomfortably. Jaden didn't speak. The recorder caught every word. When class ended, he met Lila in the library. She uploaded the recording and played it back. Her hands shook a little as they listened. This is bad," she whispered. "Like really bad." Jaden stared at the screen. "What do we do now?" "We show it to someone who can do something," Lila said. "My uncle is a lawyer. I'll ask him what we should do." Jaden walked home that day in a blur. The sun was setting and the sky turned orange and gold. He reached his house, a small one-story near the shore. The smell of grilled shrimp drifted through the screen door. Elijah was sitting on the porch sipping lemonade. Jaden sat beside him. "There's something I need to tell you," he said. He told his father everything about Ms. Griggs, about the recording, about Lila. Elijah listened quietly, his jaw tight. When Jaden finished, Elijah stood up. "Let's take a drive," he said. They didn't go to the fishing docks. Instead, Elijah pulled into a long driveway behind a gate. A sleek black Bentley sat inside a large garage next to a stone house Jaden had only seen once. "I don't just fish," Elijah said, unlocking the door. "I own a seafood company. Supplies to stores across the country. I don't brag, but I've worked hard, and I've done well." Jaden stared at him. "I never told you because I wanted you to stay grounded. But now it's time people saw the truth." The next morning, Elijah pulled up in the Bentley to Silvergate Preparatory School. The engine purred. The car gleamed like a mirror. Students stared. Teachers turned. Some kids even dropped their phones. Jaden stepped out slowly. His father followed, dressed in a tailored blue suit. They walked straight to the headmaster's office. The secretary scrambled to her feet. "Can I help you?" Elijah's voice was calm but firm. "Yes, I'd like a meeting with Headmaster Loring. I'm one of the school's silent donors, and this concerns a matter of great importance." The door opened quickly. Headmaster Loring was a tall man with gray hair and an uneasy smile. "Mr. Carter," he said, shaking Elijah's hand. "Of course, come in." Jaden sat beside his father as Lila arrived with her uncle and a copy of the recording. They played it. Silence filled the room. Heavy. The headmaster looked pale. "This is unacceptable," Elijah said. "This is not just unprofessional. It's discrimination." Loring nodded quickly. "Ms. Griggs will be placed under review immediately. I promise." "No," Elijah said. "Not just review. She must be suspended. And this school must change. My son will not suffer for being the son of a fisherman. A black fisherman. This school was built on donations like mine. It will not stand if it breaks our children." Jaden looked at his dad. His heart thumped with pride. That afternoon, Ms. Griggs was called to the office. She walked past Jaden without looking at him. Lila caught his arm. "We did it," she whispered. Jaden smiled. For the first time at Silvergate, he felt like he belonged. But he knew this was just the beginning. The next morning at Silvergate Preparatory felt different. Whispers floated through the halls like ghosts. Students leaned close, phones in their hands, mouths wide with shock. By lunch, everyone had heard about the recording. Jaden Carter walked into the cafeteria with Lila by his side. Heads turned. Some students smiled awkwardly. Others just stared. A few, the ones who used to laugh the loudest, looked away. Jaden didn't say a word. He sat at the far table and opened his lunchbox. Inside were fish cakes and rice. The smell drifted out strong and salty. He didn't hide it. Across the room, a group of older boys wrinkled their noses. "Here comes Fish Boy again," one muttered. But his friend nudged him and said, "Shut up. Didn't you hear what Ms. Griggs said? That's serious trouble." Even the teachers seemed different. They didn't call on Jaden much that day, but they looked at him more. Like they were trying to figure him out again. Like they'd never really looked before. In the teacher's lounge, Ms. Griggs' desk sat empty. Headmaster Loring made an announcement at the end of the day. "A certain staff member has been placed on temporary leave," he said into the loudspeaker, his voice tight. "We take matters of respect and fairness very seriously at Silvergate. Let us all reflect on how we treat one another." That night, Jaden's house was quiet. He sat on the couch holding a mug of hot cocoa. His dad came in from a phone call. "Elijah Carter seafood is trending online," Elijah said, shaking his head with a smile. "People are finally paying attention. Reporters want to talk to you." Jaden blinked. "Me? You're the story," Elijah said. "You stood up when most kids would have just kept their head down." Jaden didn't feel brave. He felt nervous. The whole world suddenly knew his name, his dad's name, and the smell of fish that Ms. Griggs used to laugh about. Elijah sat down beside him. "There's more we can do," he said. "We don't just fix things by getting one teacher in trouble. We change the whole place." Jaden nodded slowly. "Can I still be normal, though? I just want to go to school like everyone else." Elijah smiled. "There's no such thing as normal when you're making history." The next day, News vans parked outside the school. A reporter stood at the gate, talking into a microphone. A student at Silvergate Preparatory School recorded his English teacher making shocking, racist comments. Inside, Jaden tried to stay calm. Lila sat next to him in history class, holding her pencil tight. "I think they're going to fire her," she whispered. Jaden looked out the window. "I don't want revenge," he said. "I just want to be treated like I matter." He got his wish and more. 2 days later, Headmaster Loring called a full school assembly. Every student, every teacher, and even some parents filled the large auditorium. Jaden and Elijah sat near the front. The headmaster stepped up to the microphone. "I want to address the recent events involving one of our staff," he began. "Ms. Pamela Griggs has been officially dismissed from Silvergate. Her actions were not only inappropriate but harmful. We are sorry." A few students clapped. Others sat still, not sure what to do. "We are also beginning a new chapter," Loring continued. "Thanks to generous support from Mr. Elijah Carter, we will start a scholarship program in honor of Gloria Carter, Elijah's mother and Jaden's grandmother. Gloria was a community leader, a teacher, and the first Black woman to open a literacy center in our district. This new center will focus on cultural studies, anti-discrimination, and student voice." Jaden's mouth fell open. He hadn't known about that part. Elijah leaned in and whispered, "She would have been proud." After the assembly, students surrounded Jaden in the hallway. "Hey, man, I'm sorry I laughed before," one boy said. "I didn't know it was that bad." Another girl added, "You're really brave. I would have just cried and run away." Jaden gave a small smile. "I wanted to, but someone helped me stay." He looked at Lila. She blushed. As the week went on, things started to change. Not all at once, but enough. A new English teacher arrived. A young man named Mr. Wells, who smiled easily and listened more than he spoke. In his first class, he asked each student to bring in an object that told a story about their family. Jaden brought a small jar of dried sea salt. "My dad says the ocean is our history," he told the class. "This is a piece of that." Some students shared photos, old letters, even food recipes. For the first time, the class felt like it belonged to everyone. But not everyone was happy. One afternoon, Jaden found a note in his locker. "You got someone fired. Don't get too proud." There was no name, no handwriting he recognized. Just the words. He showed it to Lila, who frowned. "Cowards always hide," she said. Jaden didn't let it shake him. He folded the paper and threw it in the trash. The next Monday, Elijah returned to the school for a special meeting with the school board. He brought documents showing his donations, photos of his work building ocean cleaning boats, and a list of schools across the state that now used fish from his company in their cafeterias. "I am not ashamed of being a fisherman," Elijah said, standing in front of the board. "What I am ashamed of is a system that teaches children that wealth equals worth, that skin color equals ability, that hard work doesn't smell like roses, so it must be bad." Jaden sat in the back, proud. The board agreed to new policies, diversity training, a review of the scholarship process, more support for students who didn't come from rich families. It was just the start, but it was real. One evening, after dinner, Jaden and Elijah sat on the dock. The waves were quiet. The stars blinked above. "Do you think things will stay better now?" Jaden asked. Elijah looked out at the sea. "Change isn't a wave, son. It's a tide. It rises slowly, but it never stops." Jaden nodded. At school, he became more than fish boy. He was the kid who stood up, the kid who made Silvergate better. But he never let it go to his head. He still helped his dad on weekends, still smelled like salt in the wind. And one day, a little girl from the lower grade walked up to him. "My dad's a janitor," she said shyly. "Some girls laugh at me for that." Jaden crouched beside her. "You know what I smell like?" he asked. She nodded. "Fish?" He smiled. "Yup. And it smells like pride." She grinned and ran off. That night, Jaden wrote something in his journal. Being different isn't bad. It's a gift. A chance to show the world what it missed before. Maybe the fish smell isn't something to hide. Maybe it's what makes me strong. Spring came to Silvergate Preparatory with bright skies and blossoms on the trees. The cold days were behind them and something else had changed too, something inside the school. The hall still echoed with student laughter, bells ringing, and the squeak of sneakers on tile. But there was a new feeling in the air. More eyes now noticed who was missing from the table. More hands went up when someone said something unfair. Jaden Carter walked through those halls with a quiet pride. His shoulders stood straighter. His eyes met everyone's without fear. He wasn't just the kid who smelled like fish anymore. He was Jaden, the boy who helped change a school. One afternoon, the new scholarship committee invited him to speak. He stood at the podium, holding his notes, his hands just a little shaky. "I came to Silvergate on a scholarship," he said. "And I thought I had to hide who I was to fit in. I thought I had to be like everyone else just to be accepted. But I was wrong." He took a breath and looked at the faces in the room, teachers, board members, parents. "My dad is a fisherman. We don't have fancy cars or big houses. But we have something bigger: honor and hard work and pride in where we come from. I'm not ashamed of that anymore. And no one should be made to feel small for being different." The room fell silent. Then, slowly, people began to clap. Not polite claps, real, strong ones. Afterward, an old woman walked up to him. Her eyes were full of tears. "My grandson is starting next year," she said. "He's quiet and he's the only black kid in his class. I hope he has someone like you to look up to." Jaden nodded. He already has someone himself. He just has to believe it. That night, Jaden couldn't sleep. He sat by his window watching the stars and thinking about everything that had happened. He thought about Ms. Griggs. Where was she now? Was she sorry? He didn't hate her anymore. He felt sad for her. Sad that someone so smart could be so small inside. Sad that her world was made of walls instead of bridges. He hoped she would learn. Grow. Maybe someone would give her a second chance. He believed in second chances now. The next day, Lila met him at the gate. "Guess what?" she said, her eyes bright. "What?" "They're naming the new library after your grandma, Gloria Carter Literacy Hall." Jaden's heart leapt. "Really?" "She changed lives," Lila said. "Just like you." They stood for a moment, looking at the red brick building that would soon carry her name. It felt right. It felt like something new was starting. Summer crept closer, and with it came finals, field days, and yearbook signings. Jaden found his name in the yearbook under "most likely to make a difference." He laughed when he saw it. "No pressure, right?" Lila grinned. "You already have." One sunny Friday, a sleek black Bentley pulled up in front of Silvergate. Students turned and stared. Cameras flashed. It wasn't just the car, it was the man behind the wheel. Elijah Carter stepped out wearing his signature ocean blue jacket, his beard neat, his face calm. He was there to meet the mayor, to talk about starting a seafood sustainability program for schools across the state. "Wow," one student whispered. "Jaden's dad is famous now." Jaden walked out with his backpack slung over one shoulder. He saw the looks, the whispers, but they didn't bother him anymore. This time, the Bentley didn't mean he was trying to prove something. This time, it meant he already had. As he got in the car, Elijah turned to him. "You know, a college in New York called Full Scholarship. They loved your essay." Jaden blinked. "Wait, what? Really?" Elijah nodded. "But I told them we'd talk about it first." Jaden stared out the window as they drove. New York. A new school. A new world. But something tugged at his heart. That night, he sat at the dock again, tossing pebbles into the water. He thought about the kids at Silvergate. The ones who still felt like they didn't belong. The ones who didn't have a voice yet. He thought about the little girl who said her dad was a janitor. He thought about Gloria Carter, who built something when everyone else said she had nothing. And he knew. At the final school assembly, Headmaster Loring called Jaden up to the stage. "This year, we honor a student who stood up, spoke out, and changed all of us. Jaden Carter, please come forward." The room roared with applause. Jaden took the mic and smiled. "I had the chance to leave," he began. "A great college offered me a spot. But I'm not leaving." Gasps filled the room. "I'm staying here. I want to help build the new literacy center. I want to mentor younger students. I want to make sure no one ever feels alone here again." The clapping was louder this time. Not because he stayed, but because he chose to lead. That summer, Jaden worked with builders and teachers to design Gloria Carter Literacy Hall. He painted walls, shelved books, helped pick out quotes for the murals. His favorite was the one over the front door. "Don't change to fit the room. Change the room to fit the truth." People came from all over to visit. Reporters, writers, even the governor. One day, Jaden sat on the front steps, sweaty from unpacking boxes, when a boy sat down next to him. "Are you Jaden Carter?" "Yeah," Jaden said, smiling. "I'm Amir," the boy said. "I start here in the fall. My mom said you're the reason I got my scholarship." Jaden looked at him. Big eyes. Nervous hands. A backpack too big for his shoulders. He saw himself all over again. I didn't do it alone, Jaden said. You ready to make some waves? Amir smiled. You bet. And so the tide turned. Jaden Carter, once mocked for how he smelled, became the voice of change. The kid who walked through fire and came out stronger. The son of a fisherman who taught the world that real power doesn't wear suits or drive Bentleys. It smells like salt and courage and truth. Silvergate was never the same. And neither was Jaden. He had found his voice. And he wasn't done speaking yet. Moral of the story. You smell like fish teaches us that true worth is not found in wealth, appearance, or background, but in the strength of one's character. Standing up against injustice, no matter how young or different you feel, can spark powerful change. Jaden's journey shows that pride in your roots and the courage to speak the truth can break down even the oldest walls of prejudice. When you believe in yourself and where you come from, you can transform not just your own life, but the lives of many. Thank you for joining Jaden's powerful journey. This story was written with love, hope, and the belief that every child, no matter their background, deserves to be seen, heard, and valued. May this tale inspire young hearts to be brave, kind, and proud of who they are. Let it remind all of us that change begins with just one voice. And sometimes that voice smells a little like fish.